Have you ever noticed that just as the Democrats are about to be exposed, take a big hit, finally we are going to get to the bottom of what happened with FISA warrants and this soft coup against the president pointing out and making the obvious comparison when you look at inner city America and what the Democrats have done to those cities, this is what they will do to the entire nation. When all of that is coming to a head and the Democrats are really ready to just implode, all of a sudden out of nowhere, here comes a mass shooting that they can start spinning a new narrative of the NRA and Donald Trump and gun nuts and white supremacists and people that voted for Donald Trump. Let me lay this out really clearly. What happened in Texas is a tragedy, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the cover story on the individual, his so-called background, and his so-called hatred of immigrants, etc. It plays too easily into the stereotype, into the narrative that the lying legacy corporate corrupt media along with the Democratic Party want to be the narrative. Now the fly in the ointment here was the shooting in Ohio, not even 24 hours later. Turns out to be one of their own, an Elizabeth Warren supporter who hates capitalists, so went on a shooting spree. And God bless the Canton Police Department that shot that individual and put him out of their misery. But again, we have the shooter taken in Texas alive. There'll be some kind of trial. See, this one was done on purpose. We're in an election year. They purposely didn't take him out. He had to survive so we can have the trial, so we can keep talking about this through the 2020 election cycle. So we can keep ginning up all of this ideas of mass shootings and a president who doesn't care, etc., etc., etc. But they weren't counting on what happened in Ohio. That's why the media doesn't want to talk about the Ohio shooting. But they go hand in hand, and I'll explain why. I really have my suspicions, and I'm wondering if Texas was a false flag. A total setup from jump. Create this cover story, put up a, supposedly there were media pages where he talked openly about this, but then magically with the help of Google and the other social media platforms, the FBI got those pages taken down immediately so that, we couldn't go there and see it for ourselves? That's a little convenient, isn't it? So we have to depend on CNN to spoon feed us. This guy was a white supremacist. This guy hated immigrants. He drove 600 miles just to shoot some on the border at a Walmart. Really? Really? But here's what's happened. Because the deep state, the oligarch, uses something like a mass shooting, first of all, gets everybody worked up, upset, because ultimately what they want to do is confiscate all firearms. They want them gone. So they have to keep creating crises to where we are willing to surrender our rights for a false sense of security. Well, we'll just be safer if all the guns are gone. But the other thing that doesn't get talked about is the civil war the deep state is trying to create. Left versus right. White versus black. Liberal versus conservative. Because, see, you have to understand the true power structure. That Democrat, Republican narrative, that's two sides of the same coin. It's an illusion. And the power structure, the ruling elite class, they have to constantly keep us at each other always so that we don't know what they're doing. And it has worked for years. But now we have a president who does the unthinkable. He actually believes that he was elected by the people to govern. To not just once he gets there, go along with what the deep state oligarch ruling class elite tells them to do. Overnight, he beats China. China starts manipulating currency yesterday. The stock market begins to tank. Trump calls him out on it. He points it out. Overnight, they stop doing it. Stock market rebounds. Trump is not a globalist. And the globalists within our own government, and some of them are Republicans and some of them are Democrats, because they're about something bigger than America. They're about this one world, one order system. And the way they do that is to keep us in chaos so that we keep willingly surrendering our rights so we can have freedom. Why, when we were at the zenith of the war on radical Islam, to keep us safe, why the government, our intelligence agencies, had to read our texts, listen to our cell phone conversations, read our email, and have access to all of our social media platforms. And the FCC and the feds got into bed with Google, Facebook, all the social media platforms, supplying them our information, putting out little apps for us to play with, like, oh, look, I can change how my face looks, or I'm going to update my pictures, so that the government constantly has fresh information on us. They give us little toys to play with in our home where we ask it questions and it'll play music for us and it'll give us recipes, and the whole time it never turns off and it's listening and observing what we do. And we used to watch those movies as kids. We wondered, how will Big Brother in a country like ours, how will Big Brother actually be able to spy on us all the time? And we bring the technology in our homes because we can't live without it. And on the one hand, they want us at constant odds with each other, and because of their visceral hatred of this president and the way they keep talking about the president and our rights like the Second Amendment in such a negative way, it was only a matter of time before one of their own flips a lid and goes out and takes matters into their own hands using a firearm. And it kills the momentum of what they were trying to do this weekend. You think I'm crazy? That's okay. Think it through. Think it through. And ask some logical questions. I mean, after all, you can call it conspiracy nonsense. I'm asking some questions. What about you? Are you asking any questions, or are you just going to allow the media and the Democrats and even the rhino Republicans to spoon feed you as we start creating these new laws now? Oh, we can't let crazy people have guns. Well, duh. But who's going to be deemed as crazy? Me making a video like this with this, oh, this guy obviously can't have a Second Amendment right. Oh, you and your family? You had somebody at one time that was diagnosed as clinically depressed? Can't let anybody in your family or any of the descendants, no, can't have that fight. Nope, turn it over. Turn it in. Now, demand it. Hand it over. Remember when Obamacare was asking children, the doctors were, if mommy or daddy owned a gun, and where was it, and how many did they have? This is about gun confiscation. This is about disarming the citizenry, getting you part of groupthink so that you can be easily controlled. It's really no more complicated than that. And they do it so out in the open now, because anybody that points it out, well, they just blow them off as crazy. And social media platforms then start singling them out and observing and watching. And they used to hide it. They used to be sneaky about it. They don't have to hide it or be sneaky about it. Rush Limbaugh raised a brilliant point yesterday. Is our existential threat really what China does to our economy, or the Russians meddling in our elections? Or is it our own homegrown technology like Google and Facebook and Twitter deplatforming and taking away voices of dissent and conservative ideology, targeting them, removing all of us to control the results of elections? There's the real collusion. There's the real crisis. So they can't have you focused on that, so they throw these other things out there. It's Russia, it's China, it's this, it's that. We have another school shooting, we have another mass shooting. Think. It's a wonderful thing. The Word of God declares, my people perish. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Knowledge begins with questions. That's it. My third and final video of the day. Thank you for watching. Share this. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. And smack the bell to get my next rant.